All right, everybody, welcome back. And in this step, we're going to be talking about channel optimization on iTunes. And there are 5 major elements to be considering when you're trying to get ranked on iTunes. And generally, what we're talking about here are podcasts. So when it comes to SEO of our content, generally what we're talking about here is a podcast. And so we're looking for reviews, download velocity, frequency, cover, and content. So the different elements of the content that we want to include keywords. So let's talk about each one of these. So we want to solicit reviews. You want to use the podcast itself to ask people for reviews and to encourage reviews. So you can see that our podcast Perpetual Traffic, we have 410 reviews. We launched this last summer, so it's been a few months that we've had this podcast up, but we spent a lot of time soliciting reviews, asking people for reviews, and we made sure that the content was as good as possible to make sure that those reviews are positive, because really more than anything else, the number of reviews and the quality of those reviews is going to affect your rankings. And then we want to talk about the number of downloads that you're getting. So these are the 2 big things, are the number of downloads and the download velocity, as well as the number of reviews you're picking up. So what you want to be thinking about is, are your downloads increasing, and are you seeing is iTunes, is Apple in Apple's algorithm seeing a large number of downloads in a compressed period of time? And so that's, again, why you want to use a launch or a promotion to go out with your podcast. You don't want to just kind of soft launch it, or at least plan on soft launching it and then at some point doing promotions for your podcast to increase the amount of download velocity and reviews that you're getting. So when you first launch, as a rule, you want to launch and publish often to increase that download velocity, because the more times that you publish, the more downloads you're going to see as people continue to subscribe. So you can see that with our podcast, we launched with actually 3 episodes all at one time. So we uploaded all 3 of these episodes all at one time. And then we published 2 more very, very quickly after that, before we got into a weekly schedule. So at the very outset, in order to increase download velocity and sort of prime the pump for the number of reviews that we're getting and the amount of activity that iTunes was seeing around this podcast, we publish often as we launched. And again, remember, a launch or a promotion, it has a start date, it has an end date, it has a budget, and those things, you're trying to launch this media property, and you want to do that very, very intentionally. So when you do that, when you plan to throw traffic at this new media asset you're trying to build, publish often during that time. You want a clear title and a clean design on your cover. So if you look at the iTunes podcasts that do well, all of the covers, they're clean, and you can read what is said on the cover. So take your time, hire a professional designer to build you a nice, clean, and clear cover. The title of the podcast, we're starting to get into where to include some keywords. You can see that we don't just call this Perpetual Traffic. We call it Perpetual Traffic by Digital Marketer, Paid Traffic, Online Marketing, Digital Marketing. So there's a little SEO there, a little iTunes SEO in that title. So you want to consider your own keywords in your podcast title. Then even in the name of, so these are the 3 folks that run this podcast: Keith Krantz, Ralph Burns, and Molly Pittman. And they're talking paid traffic and digital marketing. So this is a nice, Keith Krantz, Ralph Burns, and Molly Pittman talk paid traffic and digital marketing. So it's a nice, readable way to include a keyword in your in the publisher name field. And then, of course, the episode titles and descriptions should include keywords. So episode 26, for example, is called the 4 Ps of YouTube advertising. So the keyword's YouTube advertising. We want to use it in the title and we want to use it in the description, as many times as it makes sense. And these descriptions that you upload should have a little bit of meat on them. So include, 100 plus words in your description of the podcast to give iTunes enough, text to sort of index and understand what that episode's about. And of course, even on iTunes, don't forget to optimize for ascension. So in a podcast, look to ascend to either more content, so cross-link to other episodes like we've done here, episode 2. So this is an episode 27 page, and we're going to reference verbally in the podcast episode 2, 3, 14, and we're also going to link to them from the show notes. And we're also going to link to anything else that we think is relevant. A lot of times a gated offer, like a lead magnet, can work from a podcast where you say, hey, go to this page and give us your email address and we'll send you this report or this cheat sheet or this handout or this whatever. And look to ascend people from your podcast. Now, in the next video, we're going to be talking about channel optimization of review sites like Yelp and TripAdvisor. We'll see you there.